Welcome to FutureProof Business. Smart strategies, real insights, and tools to lead and scale in a fast-changing world. Let's future-proof your success.
Welcome to the FutureProof Business Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Rosenstein. Today I have the honor of interviewing Katrena Friel. Katrena, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on a beautiful, what is a Father's Day in Sydney, Australia. Is it Father's Day there?
No.
Not everyone has it on the same day, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, but for us, it's in June.
Ah, gotcha.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm very excited to be speaking with you. Can you share a little bit about yourself with the audience? What is it you do and about your background? Do you have a better understanding about who you are?
Sure. For 25 years, I've been building people's personal brands. And I do that in a done for you type model. And I do that with 7 streams of income. So it starts with the book. We put together the book, which then creates the brand, which then creates the TED Talk, which then creates the signature program. And then the other streams of income are coaching, mentoring, facilitating, and consulting. So when you put it all together in a business brand, you can just get on with it. Get out there. It's been amazing.
That sounds fantastic and something like a lot of people need, because I personally met a lot of people, entrepreneurs and especially coaches, like they don't know what to do with their business. Like they learn some coaching skills of how to code, but they don't know how to run a business, how to market it correctly. It sounds like to me like you have a really strong need for what you do.
Yeah, I do it globally, which is fantastic. And ever since Zoom, my business just took off during Zoom because everyone had the time, the money, and the inclination. So I was very busy during Zoom. In fact, I was very busy during COVID. And I have a feeling I very nearly hit burnout. So I had to be very careful with my time and energy and just making sure I didn't overdo it because it was a very busy time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, so what made you decide to go into this?
I was always training and coaching and wherever I went and whatever I did, whether I was speaking on the stage or training in a group, or there was always one person that would come up and say, "Oh God, I'd love to do what you do." And that just started me thinking about how do I do what I do and reverse engineer what was superfluous, what was mistakes, and get rid of all the extraneous stuff. And then I started to run it in groups. And so when I was running it in groups and, giving them the model and explaining all the bits and pieces that they needed, I found that later on that they actually hadn't done the work. They hadn't written their book. They hadn't organized their TED Talk. They didn't have their website up yet and all the things that they needed. So then I started to realize that these people need a lot more hand-holding and a lot more care to get them up and started. So I started to do done for you a very long time ago. And done for you now is coming back into fashion. If you notice, people have realized that just leaving people to do an online course or just leaving people with a whole list of instructions doesn't really work. People don't know what they don't know. And so they need to be walked through the process. So I get rid of a lot of the lumps and bumps in the road, get it all done while they sleep. And then in about 90 days, we've built all the assets. When I say we, I mean I've built all the assets so that then we can start working on the sales and marketing piece. And as you say, most coaches come out of school going, now what? There's no real business component to what they're doing. And so they really don't know what it is they need to be doing. So this is why coaches and authors tend to starve.
So I'm curious to know, if somebody like a coach or entrepreneur, and they tell you, a lot of people, they don't know what to do, they feel stuck. So how do you assess whether it is a strategic problem, like they don't understand the strategy, or maybe it's a self-leadership problem, like maybe they lack motivation?
It's all of the above. So my program includes all the therapeutic coaching that they need, unlimited. all the business coaching that they need, unlimited, and all the business mentoring that they need. So my model is the model I use to be a successful coach and mentor out there in the world. And so I just give them my model that works for me and teach them how to do that. So most of those things that you listed are within each and every one of us. We're all challenged with all of those things. But if you don't deal with them at the time they pop up in your business journey, they tend to get forgotten and they just pop up again and again until people just give up and go back and get a job, or some people don't have that option because they're unemployable. So they have to just keep pressing on and spending their super money.
So like on your website, you mentioned about you help like your clients unpack their genius. Can you kind of explain to us, what does that mean? And what does that look like when you're actually like in the first steps working with a client?
It is the very first step. So what I do in the free discovery session, this is how I determine whether this project is for me, whether this person has the potential to really lift off. They're the things I'm looking for. And they're looking for someone that they can trust, that gets them, that has the skills to put it all together. So within the first 15 minutes of that call, for some reason, I'm able to have a look at their career. I'm looking for all the breadcrumbs, all the clues. And when I see all the clues, I'm able to look over their entire life and see their particular genius, that they are here to contribute, because their journey, their story, their career, their upbringing, their resume, all that together in a bowl makes a unique personal brand business for them, unique to anybody else. And so I just seem to be able to do it. I love that bit. That part of it is just the creative, magical part where I can dig a little deep, unpack them a little, and then see what their genius is. And it's just such a joy to see the penny drop when they hear their purpose, their life purpose, their soul purpose for the very first time. Some of them know what it is. They might have a bit of an inkling, but I love it when they come to me and they have no bloody clue. That's fun.
I found you say like, you don't just like work with anybody who reaches out, says, like hired me. So can you maybe explain to us, like, who are the type of people you like working with? And being that you mentioned you live in Australia, do you only work with clients in Australia, or do you work with clients all around the world?
Yeah, clients all around the world, New York, London, Germany, New Zealand, a lot in Australia, obviously, because that's easy. And the list goes on. It's just been fantastic with people getting used to working on Zoom and me realizing that the energy and the love and the nurturing can still come across in a Zoom experience. I started to really believe that I could do it on Zoom globally. And so far, so good. Nothing beats one-on-one, personally, face-to-face. Nothing ever will. And I'll always try to do it that way if I can, because it's just a really good bonding experience between the two of us. But yeah, what I'm looking for is a vibe, just a certain vibe, somebody that I can really enjoy giving my life to over the next 12 months, because it is a 12-month program. I might only build it in 90 days, but I work with them for 12 months. And I've had clients who just signed up for their 9th year. I've had other clients that are 3 or 4, 5 years in, and that's fine. I'm happy to move the relationship into that thing just to help support them in an ongoing way, because you always need a good mentor in your back pocket. But my favorite part is that first year where I'm putting it all together, teaching them everything that they need to know so that they can hit the ground running. And I'm just looking for somebody that's easy to work with, that's fun, I want to have fun with, that doesn't take themselves too seriously. They're often women, but I have many men that I'm working with. In fact, I've got a phenomenal man working in the consciousness space at the moment, and I'm really enjoying that. Yeah, it's really just the vibe of the person is the key here. If they're difficult or negative, I'm not going to respond to that particularly well.
Well, it's fantastic. And you mentioned before that you had a situation in the past where you lost $30,000 and you chose like the life lesson over litigation. How did that, event in your life shift your identity as a leader that you are today? you may share the audience a little bit more like what happened and
Yeah.
what was decision-making process and how did it really shift you?
Yeah. I had just had a miscarriage at the time. So my husband believes that I was a little bit weak at the time, emotionally, probably. And this ad caught my attention and I felt that the ad had my name on it. I really just followed my gut on this one. It ended up being that the guy just had nothing. He took the $30,000 investment where we're meant to be partners in the business, coaches within the business. There's a whole bunch of us taken, so 30 grand. Once we all realized that he had nothing, including no particular talent and certainly not a great communicator, we all just felt very duped and stupid. And how had this guy manipulated us who were quite sane people, really? Anyway, I went to my solicitor and just said, okay, here's all the evidence. This is what he said. This is what he didn't have, and showed them everything. And he said, look, you can chase good money after bad all you like all day long. I can take your money if you want me to. And you will probably win more than likely. It's just a little bit complicated. And sometimes judges get confused. And if it's confusing to the judge, they tend to just not be interested. So he said, look, there's this, it's very likely you'll win, but let me ask you a question. Is there a chance that you've learned a $30,000 lesson? And it was just the most powerful question I've ever been asked. And I remember my whole body responding. You know, that lady that has the blue skin and it goes, and then that's how it felt that it happened. It changed me on this cellular level. And I went, yeah, I did. And I just lit up and I realized that I had it all within me already. I had educated myself. I had my coaching qualifications. I had experience in business. I really looked at my career and realized I had way more than I actually thought I had. And so it gave me a level of confidence that has grounded me to this day. And I've just built upon that over the next 25 years. And I never looked back. It was a great lesson and certainly worth 30,000, that's for sure. So I thank him very much and I wish him dead, but he did me a great favor. And it was the very first time I was out of corporate. It was just a scary time. And when you've burnt all the bridge and you can't get back to your boat, you tend to get on with it. And that's what I want to teach my clients is that when you create a program that's of great value and that is transformational, then you can't go wrong. You just keep pressing on and it takes off eventually.
That's an amazing story. And thank you so much for sharing that with our audience because $30,000 is a lot of money. And I know something like that would happen to a lot of people. They would have been completely devastated. They wouldn't be able to snap out of it because that's a lot. It's a big house to chew. But you were able to, not just get over it, but turn it into a huge life lesson. And now you're teaching other people how they can overcome adversity. That's really amazing. And I love, having people like you on the show because it shows that, it happens, these type of things happen to everybody, including myself. I've been scammed several times, at least, maybe more. And I lost a lot of money. And sometimes it's a tough call to take because you think you're doing the right thing. You think you're a good person. And so as long as you say, you think that universe, because you're a good person, universe is always sending you, good people, the right situations that's going to make you successful and this and that. And sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So it's important to use your intuition and your discretion of what to choose because we really choose like the life path, the people we deal with, where we decide to give our money to. And it was definitely a huge lesson. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's really powerful. That's really amazing.
Part of the reason why my program is so jam-packed with value, it's because of the burning that I had there where he had no value. I've gone the opposite way and made sure that there's all the things inside of the program that they're going to need and really loaded it up and stacked it with all the things. And that's really what makes my experience completely different from a lot of coaches and a lot of other programs out there is they have a little bit of this and maybe a little bit of that. But I like to think mine's holistic and has every little thing inside of it, including the online program and all the things. But The main thing they need is this unlimited coaching. They need the coaching when they need it, when they have a question, when they have a real emotional response to something. They need to be able to get on the phone and get support. And so that is something I really love to do, really in the moment type opportunity to discuss their concerns. Yeah. So I think that's why I do what I do and why I've loaded it up so much is because it's just awful to buy something and there's no value there.
Yeah, it's happened to me and it's definitely very upsetting.
It
I
is.
think it's happened more than one because some people, they do a great job with their sales techniques and they try to, they showcase themselves as somebody as an expert and go-to person and they talk really nice, like on the Zoom calls, whatever, and think that but I mean, I've had a mixed bag. I've had some people, coaches I work with that are really amazing and some you said that deliver no value. But I want to ask you, because like, I also know that like you said, like that you work really deep with people. And part of what you do is like you help people with the three inner compasses, which is like the mind, the heart, and the gut. Can you explain like what is the gut? People's gut is anything to deal with their inner compass because it's not just for digestion. And how does it like help people align with, the goals and dreams?
Yeah. So I think some people are more head orientated and they're very logical, very rational. And that's good up to a point. And then other people are a little bit more heart orientated and it's all about the heart and they have no access to their rational, logical mind. And in business, that's very dangerous. And then some people are very gut orientated. They're very intuitive. They really feel a gut response to things. And so that's great too, but also not 100% of the time. So what I'm trying to do with people is get them to access all three and learn how to have conversations with all three because the head has lots to say and you need to listen to that and write those notes and then listen to the heart. What does the heart say? And then what does the gut say? And I'm very gutsy, so I'm very down in the gut. I have very quick responses to things. And that is very good. That's very good when used in a positive way. But as you can see from my scam situation, my gut was wrong. My gut loved the concept of it, loved what was written there. But I didn't touch base with my heart. My heart would have told me that I'm in grave danger with this person and that this person is not to be trusted. And even my head would have had something to say about the logic of it as well, because there was some real rational signs that I should have been listening to, but I didn't. I just went all in on my gut and look what happened. So now what I learn and what I want to teach is to have these three inner compasses come together and have one North Star. Just, when all three are in committee, you can't go wrong. You literally cannot go wrong. But you've got to listen to all three because they all have three different points of view that are very useful in business. Very useful.
That's really powerful. And I like that a lot because you're right. Sometimes I can be very intuition oriented. Sometimes I jump on things really quickly, but I don't really think things with my mind. Sometimes I can be very logical and sometimes I can be very like intuition and it flip flops. And I never occurred to me I should, align myself for all three things. That's really smart.
Yeah.
I don't know how you came up with that. That's a really great idea.
Thank you. Since you've been scammed a couple of times, go back over those stories and have a look that your gut was in control. Your gut was driving the bus and no matter what, you were going to do it. And these slimy, scammy salespeople actually are looking for gut people because guess what gut people do? Make decisions quickly on the spur of the moment and sign up for things straight away. The one thing you should never do is sign up without sleeping on it. You should always give it a couple of days, live with it for a couple of days and then decide. Whereas gut people never do. They're always elated, they're excited, they get emotionally involved very quickly. And that's where we go wrong. But these scammers are looking for people like us.
That's really powerful. And that's a good thing to know. And I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I think that's really good advice that a lot of people need to know, because you do have to be careful out there that, as I said before, like the type of people you deal with and who you give your money to, because you definitely have to use caution. But like the first person I heard that actually said that you should work with the mind, heart, and gut all at the same time. I mean, a lot of times people just say, just work with your mind,
Yeah.
because people always talk, like in coaching, well, they always talk about your beliefs. How many people talk about the line, your mind, heart, and gut? It's a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. The heart is great to be the chairman of the board. I believe the heart is in the center for a reason, but the head can also, if people are just logical, rational, they miss out on a lot as well. What they do is they talk themselves out of everything. They're very sensible, Sue, everything's very rational. And sometimes these people miss out on everything, including living, because they're able to say, look, no to everything. And so that's not the right thing either. You've got to try things. You've got to buy things. You've got to get involved. You've got to take risks. And sometimes logical, rational people do nothing, just simply do nothing about anything. And so that's not the right way either. There's this lovely middle ground where you look to see, does the heart have a desire for this? Does the heart have a desire to keep this particular idea burning for a long period of time? Or does the heart have only enough flame for it to be burn the pan, fast burn, I call those. Fast burns where you're excited for a minute and it doesn't last very long. It fizzles out. So that's why I need you to, just slow down on some of these decisions and think about them a little bit longer and talk to the heart's desire and say, heart, will you keep this log burning at a very high heat for a long period of time? And if not, it's not going to last. It's going to be another flash in the pan idea. And a lot of heart-led people have a lot of flash in the pans, a lot of short heat ideas. And they say, I've got so many ideas. And I go, there lies the problem. So I call them shiny pebble people. So everything's a shiny pebble. Everything has a short burn on it and nothing really lasts. So what I'm trying to develop is their lifelong work, their legacy work, something that will burn and burn for decades. We're not looking for a quick burn, flash in the pan. That's not what business is about. Business, for the effort you have to put in, it has to be a long burn. It can't be a flash in the pan. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about in those three things, but you can see neither is right or wrong. They just have their strengths and their weaknesses. And while you bring it all together under one roof, you can start to see what your next step should be. It'll make more sense when you talk to all three parties.
You mentioned before, you have this mentoring program that's 12 months, and then you build like the core assets in the first 90 days. So can you maybe explain to us, like, what is it that needs to be done in the first 90 days for this momentum to carry out for the rest of the 12 months? In order to build that momentum, sometimes people start and they fizzle out, doing these type of programs. How do you keep this momentum going, even like after the first 90 days and throughout the entire program, so people don't just fizzle out or drop out?
Yeah, I think because it's so hands-on, the beauty of working one-on-one and not in a group or anything like that is that there's nowhere to hide. There is only me and them. And so the problem with group work is a lot of people just hide in the background, and that's how it fizzles out, because they've got no one paying them any attention, no one asking them any questions. And quite frankly, when you're first starting out, you don't even know what questions to ask. So to me, being left to your own resources is one of the worst things that could ever happen. So I think one-on-one is the key here, and done for you is the key. And I think the market is realizing that now. And that's why they're all turning around their ships and saying, hey, let's do one-on-one and let's do done for you. And you're seeing the market shift. And I love that. I started to see people pop up with done for you. And I'm like, yay, finally, people have realized that online programs for $99 will only give you what you paid, not a lot. So yeah, so we start with a 2-day kickoff, and that's where the bond gets created. That's where in day one, we work on the business strategy, the business planning. I show them what we're building, why we're building it, where the money is, where the money isn't. And then day 2 in the kickoff, what we do is we create the outline of their philosophy, which ends up turning into the outline of the book. And so they walk away having had this experience where they really feel they've taken a giant leap in a couple of days. And I've learned a lot about them. I've gone very deep with them, and they've gone very deep with me. And so then I send them off onto their writer's retreat. And over the next sort of 7 days or 14 days, they need to write that book. But the book now should write itself because the outline and the meat on the bones was given to them already. If, as soon as they get that back to me, I can start doing my magic, which is putting the editing and the, all the publishing together for them, the design, everything happens with the book. And then that dictates the brand. So until we've got the book locked and loaded, you really don't know what the brand's going to look like, because now we have the language, we have the vibe, we have the look and the feel. And so that then leads into creating the brand, which then creates the website. So all that's being done for them. And then when they've finished the book and they've gone #1 bestseller as a little reward, we then start working on taking the book and turning it into a live keynote speech. And this is going to be the key to them making sales or not. And so that's so important, because that's the main strategy that I teach, and that is speaking. Mainly on stage, mainly live if they can, but also in podcasts around the world. That's a really good way to educate people. And we don't call it selling here, we call it educating them about the philosophy, about what you stand for and what you don't stand for. So then after the speech, and we've got that nailed, and they're starting to practice that now because they're going to be launching out into the world soon enough, we then start on phase 2. And phase 2 is all about the signature program. This could be a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 program. So we take the book as our base, because the book is only the what and the why. The training program, the signature program, is the how. That this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you really give value. And this is where people can actually transform. So we build a transformational program that's end-to-end and holistic. Not a bit, not a little thing, not a part of it, all of it, end-to-end. Because I think people are sick to death of signing up for this and then signing up for that. And then you get a little bit of this and then you do a little bit of that, and you have to go to 10 different coaches to get the whole picture. And by then it's very messy because it's 10 different opinions. Whereas I want my clients to be doing an end-to-end transformational program and only work with the few that want the end-to-end solution, not people that just shop around for the next shiny object. We want people that are serious about transforming, and that we've developed a program that can transform them end to end. And then from there, the rest goes on. Everything's based on that philosophy. Everything's based on that particular messaging. And by then, once they understand what their program looks like, now they can really go out there and sell it, because they understand what their program's going to do end to end. And it makes it easy to sell, easy to educate people, because you know who you are and what you stand for. And the book layers in a level of confidence, of rigor, and then developing the signature program adds in a really good level of confidence and a level of rigor. And by the time they've done those 2 big things with me, they really are ready, locked and loaded. You can't hold them back. They cannot wait to get out there, because now they know who they are and what they're here to do.
That's fantastic. And that's really wonderful. It's so weird that we're having this conversation, because I did exactly what you were talking about, where I used to hire these different coaches to help me with this thing. And it was always like, they gave me a little piece, one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, oh, ask some questions about something else that we're not teaching. Like, oh, this program doesn't teach that. Like, you have to figure it out yourself. And oh my God, it gives people thousands of dollars, but then you don't know what to do. Especially like in the beginning stages, it's confusing. Like it's wonderful to have something like you. I wish I'd been able to make years ago. Like all those program stuff that I invested in that it was like half done.
Yeah.
Because it shows you some things about the others. That's wonderful to have. I think that's also something unique you're doing. I haven't honestly met anybody else that does end to end from start to finish, help write something like this. And when I said it, I haven't seen anybody else aside from you. And I've talked to like hundreds of other people that offer that. It's really wonderful.
It is wonderful that you even say that, Daniel. That means a lot to me. I like to think that I save people 5 years of their life and $75,000. That's what I really genuinely feel. When you add it all up, when I've seen what people have purchased and the places that they've been and gone, in my 25 years, I've worked out that I'm saving them about 5 years and around $75,000. And that's a mission worth pursuing, in my view.
So I want to ask you, one of the things you mentioned before was that you help like coaches like put their book out there, but with Amazon self-publishing, they made it very easy. So there's been a lot of people that publish their books, but still, even when they publish their books, a lot of book authors and coaches are starving. Like, and it seems, putting, like you said, one of the strategies used is putting a book. So many of the book authors that put a book, they haven't made any sales, maybe just a couple sales. I mean, why is it so many of these like book authors and coaches starving today? And how do you really remedy this situation?
The first thing is they've seen a book in isolation. Therein lies the problem. I don't see a book in isolation. I see a book as determining your what and your why. And you have to have the whole ecosystem built around you. So I've described the ecosystem, which is, your book and your keynote and your signature program. This is the ecosystem. You've also got sales, social media layered on top of that so that you can keep top of mind with people that have met you and seen you and what you're about. So that's the problem. That's essentially why authors starve, is because they don't have an ecosystem around them. They just have this random book with no people, and they're not going out and presenting their work to the world. And I call that taking your baby out into the world. They just sit there going, but I've done the book. Why does Amazon do their bit? 5,000 new books go up on Amazon every single day. You are nothing. You are a drop in the ocean. Nobody cares, essentially, about your silly little book. So what we do is when you speak, only then when you speak, for that one moment in time, you are in their world and they are focused on you for that 30 minutes, 45 minutes or 1 hour speech when you're doing it. And you've got this one moment in time for them to connect with you, connect with your message. And when they've had a great time, suddenly they want the t-shirt from the rock concert. And so that's the book for us. The book is the t-shirt at the rock concert that every kid gets. And so suddenly they go, I love her. I want a piece of her. And that's when they buy the book. It's just a t-shirt and a rock concert. They probably will never even read the book, but they want to honor you in some way and they want to take a piece of you home. What I'm more interested in is getting to do a free discovery session with them, because then I can actually go deeper with their messaging and them and who they are and get ready to explain to them how to build an ecosystem around that personal brand for them. That's what I'm more interested in. I'm not in the business of selling books. I'm in the business of selling free discovery sessions so that I can have a swim around in their world to see, can I help them? Are they for me? Am I the one for them? And so that's what I'm more interested in, because that's where you get your sales from. You won't get your sales from a book sale. A book sale that's almost the end of it. They go, thank you very much. And they go home, put the book on the trial, and never read any of it, never implement any of it. That's pretty normal. And so the other reason why coaches starve is because coaches and authors are introverted. So they're more than happy to do the introverted activities that business has for them. What they're not willing to do is the extroverted activities. So that's why they starve. Is I like to teach my clients how to do the introverted activities, which is writing your book and coaching one-on-one. And I also like to teach them the extroverted activities, taking their baby and their message out into the world. And that's the speaking and the training. If they don't do that, then they tend to starve. So you've got to be a multivert. You've got to be able to access the introverted activities and the energy of that, and also the extroverted activities, whether that's natural. No one's generally natural at both. Not always. They can be. I have met some natural multiverts, but most people that come to me are introverted on some level, and my job is to train them up, build their muscle on the extroverted activities that they're going to have to do to be successful, whether they like it or not. It's just a reality. You've got to take your baby out into the world. You've got to stand up and educate people about your message. Otherwise, nobody cares.
So one strategy used is something called the Flick model method. Can you explain to us what is Flick model? Is that like an acronym, or keep saying, like, how does that help people?
It's a different part of my business. So I've got a number of different brands and a number of different markets that I work in. And that particular brand you're talking about is called the Engagement Switch. And that brand is my corporate training and executive coaching brand, where I go into organizations and I train and coach executives in the Flick model. And in the Flick model, we work through these various things. And, one of them is L in Flick. There's the L. L is for leadership. So one of my favorite programs is the Leadership Management Masterclass. And that's my 30 years of experience condensed down into a 2-day experience. And I absolutely love it. And what's fantastic about that kind of work is being out in corporate is that I find all my Becoming the Expert program people there, because there's always one person that says, I want to do what you do. And I go, lovely to have met you in corporate, but come over here to my other brand and let's talk about you as a personal brand business. And so that's the way I've run it for all these years. I go into corporates, I train and coach, and then it feeds the other part of my business beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And sometimes the corporate will pay for the program by themselves, call that emotional money. It's their own personal money. And other times the organization might pay for it, because every executive is a thought leader and needs to be seen as a thought leader. They just haven't positioned themselves as the thought leader that they actually are. So I do that for them. Position, package, and price them as the thought leader in their field of excellence. So it's all very exciting. But yeah, you're going over into a whole nother business. And I can talk about engagement until the cows come home. But today I think is more about the Becoming the Expert program and the personal brand business that everyone has inside of them, that they should be leveraging no matter what. Everyone is a thought leader in their field of excellence. And so it's important to know that. I think at the very least, people can just have a session with me, unpack their genius and go on their merry way. At least they know what their personal brand should be.
So you mentioned, like, you help serve a lot of women build their personal brands, and some people refer to that as like the she economy. And it's growing really fast because, more women more than ever are now like going into business and want to be entrepreneurs probably more than the last 100 years or longer. What do you see is like building that momentum of that happening? What are women doing right now that they want to be entrepreneurs? They want to be successful. They want to get out of the house. They want to make money.
Gosh, that is such a huge question and such a fantastic question, because what's happening is that women in the 80s and 90s just simply got burnt out, because the way the corporate is structured is actually not conducive to female energy. And so females tried to then become men and work in their masculine energy. And doing that is great. I burnt out twice before I was 25. So I know this very well, this story. So then women started to say, I've done all the right things. I've climbed the corporate ladder. I'm a 6-7 figure executive and I feel disgusting. I feel like I've lost my soul. I feel like there's no meaning in my job anymore. And so that's happened around the world. And what's really interesting that's happening now is men have arrived at the exact same place. And so men are now starting to go, you're kidding me. So I have to die of a heart attack at 40 or 50 now. Women are dying of heart attacks at 40 and 50 now. It's just not worth it. And what you're going to see in corporate is the corporates are going to start to be sued because we know how to link stress to death and things like cancer and heart attack. So it's a very easy correlation. And once organizations start to get sued, they will very quickly change the culture within their organizations because they will not survive, because people will not put up with what they've been putting up with over the last 30 years. The last 30 years, we've been doing 5 people's jobs, 10 people's jobs. It's endless. The email is endless. It just goes on and on. There is no end to your day. Then we work from home. Now we're literally working 8 hours at home, then 8 hours we're trying to sleep. We're not sleeping 8 hours, which means we're not healing our bodies. We're essentially going crazy. So you're seeing anxiety, depression go up and up. All this to me is very clearly linked. And what I work with is people that are truly over the robotic way in which we are told to work these days. It is inhumane and it just is not healthy. It really isn't healthy, and it's certainly not going to be sustainable moving forward. So it's a very sad state of affairs. So women copped onto this about 25 years ago and started to say, hey, what if I started my own business? And women leaving corporate and starting their own business has been one of the mega trends around the globe. And it's phenomenal, and it's not stopping. It's not stopping. And women are training women, and women are helping women. And we're all banding together to create the lifestyle that is sustainable for the life we want to live. And we certainly don't want to burn out. We certainly don't want to have no time for our loved ones. And, we want freedom. And that's my number one driving goal is how can I create businesses for people that at their very core has freedom built in. And I personally have built that for myself. And now I'm on a mission to build it for every other woman I can find and men so that they too can have freedom. And I just don't think a job for working 40 hours is long gone. It's 60 hours. It's 80 hours a week. I know that's what I did back in the day. And it's just has no meaning left for people anymore. And so they want out, and they want out real bad. And in COVID, we got a sense of it because we were at home with our own energy, with no politics in our area. And our nervous system relaxed for the very, very first time in our careers. And they started to get back into their body and started to listen to their body once more. And some people couldn't stand the boredom. Some people couldn't stand hearing themselves and went crazy. But most people took it as an opportunity to just sit in their own shit and listen to what they want moving forward. And so we started to come up with quiet quitting. Everyone started to busily look around at all the opportunities that they could do to get out of the situation. And the corporate copped on and said, we're not going to have everybody resign and quietly quit around the globe. We will not have that. So what they did was they created wars and economic instability so that you all got back in your box and you stayed inside these corporate jobs. And here we are. A lot of people are still in their little corporate jobs and don't dare pop their head back up because they were told to go back in. And so they have. So they've successfully done that. Because I tell you what, if they hadn't have done that, 75% of people would have left their jobs for something different, no matter what that was.
So part of what you do is you help your clients like with their branding. What do you see as some of the biggest branding mistakes that like coaches or, book authors or entrepreneurs are making?
I think if you have a look around at people's websites, you'll see that the websites are geared towards their personal likes. And that's not what a brand is. Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you have a pink website. And so I think the branding mistake is that they're designing something for them personally, like it's an interior of their home. It's not. It's meant to appeal to your customer. So it should be an incredible, bright light to your client, your ideal client. And if it's not, then it's not a brand. It's just another dress hanging in your wardrobe. It's ridiculous. So a lot of women's brands are pink and all of this and purple. I hate that. I like people to make sure that they build it for their clientele and do that. And also speak in the clientele, their language. So again, you want to find your voice, yes, but you also want to appeal to your ideal client. So it should speak to your ideal client, not just the way you want to express yourself naturally. So I think there's some of the things. It's the voice and the look and the feel that have to match what the client is looking for, not what you like personally.
You talked about like you're helping your clients like with their books and stuff, but you yourself are number one best-selling author and you wrote multiple books. What did that teach you being an author about being like a leader?
I've always been very interested in leadership from way back when. And I've been studying it now for over 30 years. And I have seen everything as much as I can. I've read a lot of things. I'm a very activated, lifelong learner and love to learn, love it. And I want everyone to be an activated lifelong learner, not just a lifelong learner. 90%ers are lifelong learners. They learn and grow, reactive to life, reactive to their industry. Whereas activated lifelong learners, we go out and we proactively develop ourselves with real intent. And that is only 10% of the world. Only 10% of the world are proactive with their development. So another mission I have is to change that and to switch people on to loving learning, even though the learning that we've received from childhood has been shit and boring and beige. So I believe training should be fun and exciting. And I think reading a book should be amazing and should pop your brain in so many different ways. And I think what I've learned about leadership is don't worry about the macro, the big picture, the whole organization, the culture. Let's just work with the individuals. And if you can do some fundamental shifts with the individual and work on their self-leadership, it automatically resonates out to the bigger picture. Whereas organizations are trying to work out here, and that's stupid. It doesn't work. It works working with the individuals. And so that's really the main thing I've learned. And that's why I only train individuals. I don't work at the corporate level and I don't work at the culture level, because the culture will be the culture depending on the people inside. And so if you work on the individuals and make them activated lifelong learners, really focused on self-leadership, boom, we'd live in a very different world. The world would be completely different.
You merely share with us maybe one of your client transformational stories, and maybe even you yourself were surprised. Like, do you ever have a client like that came to you and maybe they were like super introverted, or maybe like, you may have some doubts. I don't know if this person could be really successful. Then after working with you, they became really successful?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest achievements was this client in particular ended up making $1 million in their third year. And so when you reverse engineer that back, what we created for them was an industry organization. So they ended up becoming the industry hub, not just a personal brand, not just a company, but an industry institution. And that was just the most amazing thing because they couldn't see that for themselves. In the free discovery session, when we sat down, they said, our industry sucks. Our industry has not got great leadership. Our association is terrible. The people, we aren't certified. We should be certified. And I'm listening to all of this going, why don't you? And they never even thought that they could certify people in their industry, and they never thought they could take the place of the association. And they have, and it's incredible. And she's just exited that business actually and sold it to her co-founder. So I'm very proud of their trajectory, and that all happened in 8-9 years. Amazing.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah, but they don't know what they don't know. So that's the beauty of having a mentor. You come equipped with a very broad view of the world. You've really looked around. You really are looking at connecting dots that other people can't or won't connect. And so when we give you an idea as a mentor, it's because we're connecting dots that no one ever really could, because they haven't seen all these different things from all these different points of view over decades and decades. It's amazing when you have aha moments and people go, wow, when did you think of that? Or how did you think of that? Or it's just natural because I've been around so much and I've been absorbing everything. And you never know what's dormant inside of you until it's activated by some other idea. It's amazing. That's creativity. And that's how it works. The dots get connected when the dots get connected. So it's incredible. And so I like the difference between coaching and mentoring. I'm definitely a mentor. I've been there, I've done it, and I like to give people a fast-tracked approach around giving advice, whereas a coach doesn't have any advice for you. They only have questions for you. And so it's coming out of your brain. And if you don't know what you don't know and you haven't been in business for years and years, then asking those questions about business is really, I think, null and void. And that's why people really struggle in business, is because they're being asked questions by coaches who know nothing about business. And, asking questions is not what they need right now. What they need right now is mentoring and training, not facilitating and coaching. So I'm really out to change that about the coaching industry, because the coaching industry, I don't think, is moving people as quickly as they should through their transformations.
So what do you wish that more conference organizers ask when they're booking you, to speak to help maximize their audience transformation?
They can ask me anything. I like to look at the theme and create something unique to that particular experience. And I think I don't need to ask conference organizers to ask me that. They will tell me what the theme is, and they'll ask me to modify my normal, approach or my normal philosophy or my normal keynote to suit that theme. And that's the beauty of a really great speaker, is we can speak at it from a different point of view and a different theme. And in fact, that's the part of being a speaker that I love the most, is that sort of customization, that sort of creativity on the fly, in the moment. Doesn't mean I'm changing my view. I'm just going to present it in a fresh, new way to suit that particular theme. So that's wonderful. I love that. Love the love.
So Katrena, if somebody has any questions about our conversation today or their industry working with you, what are the best ways they can reach out to you?
Just jump on the website, becoming the becomingtheexpert.com.au because I'm in Australia, becomingtheexpert.com.au. Just jump on there. You can either download the free checklist of inclusion so you can see what's in the program. And the main thing to do is book your free discovery session so that I can have a deep dive into you and have a rummage about and see what your life purpose holds for you.
If you had one of our listeners to our conversation today, remember like one sentence or one idea from everything that we talked about today, what do you think that should be?
That you are a brand. So you are the brand and you need to act accordingly. Everyone's watching. You're always on.
Katrena, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and speaking with us and sharing with us about all your experiences, all your knowledge, and having helped so many people all around the world with their transformation and improve their coaching. Share that amazing story of that woman, was an industry leader. That's really amazing. And I love your authenticity. Everything you shared was really amazing. So thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Daniel, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. Thank you.